The first step if you're going to do the manual update is to go to the link below and fill in the serial number, which you can get inside the battery compartment, and then fill in some information. In this lesson, we're going to talk about updating your GoPro's firmware. Unlocking it is going to update your GoPro so it unlocks these new features. It's probably one of the first things you should do. And there's three different ways you can do it. One is GoPro Studio. The second is your GoPro app. And in this lesson, we're going to cover updating your GoPro manually, which I think is the most reliable option because I tried the other two options with not much luck. So it was my last resort. So the way the manual update goes is that you're going to go to the GoPro website and download a file called update.zip. Once that finishes downloading to your computer, what you're going to do is move that file over to your memory card, and then you're going to double click on it. So to prepare to do this, what I recommend is to clear your memory card, your mini SD card that's going to go into your GoPro before you put that update.zip file on the mini SD card. And then you can bring the .zip file over and double click on it, and that's going to create an update folder. After you've done that, you're ready to eject the memory card if you're using a Mac, and then you're going to put it into a GoPro, make sure it's off, and make sure you got battery power, and then we're going to start the update process. Okay, so we're going to insert the mini SD card into the side of the GoPro, and then we're going to power it on. What's going to happen is your GoPro is going to say that it's updating, and you're going to see this message for about 3 minutes. When it's done, it's going to say update 100% completed, and then pay attention because you're going to look for a message that says Hero 4 and V 2.0. This version might be different depending on when you're actually updating your file from GoPro's website. It probably will be higher later on if they update more features into the software. In the last lesson, we updated the GoPro 4 Black camera to version 2.0. This changes the menu around a little bit. In this lesson, we're going to take a tour of the camera menu so you get familiar using the camera straight on the camera, which can be useful in some situations. So to begin, we're going to turn on the camera by holding down the mode button. That's the big round button at the front for 3 seconds or longer. And when the camera turns on, it's going to say Hero 4 and then give you the version number. Once the camera is on, we can cycle between the different camera modes by pressing the mode button once. Some of the main modes are setup, video, photo, and multi-shot burst mode. The side button is used to drill down into a particular mode. So if we wanted to adjust some photo settings, we would cycle to the photo mode and then press the button on the side. To adjust the video settings, we're going to cycle to the video mode and then tap on the side button. So this allows us to change some of the video settings. Once in the video mode, we can press the mode button to go down to the different video settings. And then we would tap the shutter button, that's the button at the top, to change some of the settings in video mode. For example, if we want to change the resolution from 1080, we would tap on the top button while it's highlighted, and we would keep on tapping it until we have the setting that we want. So we want 4K, happy with that, and then we would press the mode button to highlight the next option. Now we have frames per second highlighted. If we want to change that, we can press the shutter button, or we can keep on pressing the mode button to cycle down. And here we're going to turn Pro Tune on, and then keep going down to change the ISO setting. Now usually if you want to exit a mode, it's going to be the last option. Once we're out of the video mode, when we look at the camera display, we can actually get a lot of good information. For example, we can see that's a 4K shot at 24 frames per second. It's a wide angle with Pro Tune on, and we can see the battery life. Now we've pressed the shutter button to start recording video. We can see the amount of time that it's recording for. And then we can press the shutter button again at the top to stop it. In the setup mode, you can change a lot of the general functions of the camera. One of the most useful functions is to change the wireless, to turn that on. We'll cover pairing your GoPro to an app later. You can even change that annoying beeping sound that the camera makes. I use the setup mostly for the wireless, and if I need to format the memory card and I don't have time to pair it with my phone. You can also access the reset wireless option when you click the reset cam. And similar to the video mode function, you use the mode button to change what's highlighted and the top shutter button to change the selection. Now we're in the photo mode. And once in the photo mode, we can press the shutter button at the top to take a photo. And you can see once we took a photo, that number advanced from 1 to 2. So that completes our tour of the GoPro 4 camera menu. To be honest, I try to avoid using the menu on the camera whenever I can because it's just a little bit clunky going through some of those more specific options. But if I just need to start a video or take a quick photo or to turn the camera on or off, I mean, it's a lot easier just to do that from the camera. That being said, when you first get your GoPro camera and we're trying to pair it up with our smartphone using the GoPro app, we're going to need to do that through the GoPro menu. So that's actually a good segue into our next lesson where we're going to link our GoPro to the GoPro app using an iPhone. So stay with me guys, we're almost there. We're going to go out to the field and do some tests, get out there and do some shooting. We're almost there. Hi and welcome back. In the last lesson we went through a tour of the GoPro 4 camera. In this lesson we're going to take a step forward and learn how to pair our GoPro app to the GoPro camera, and life is going to become a lot easier. So before we do this, I recommend you upgrade to the latest version of your smartphone's operating system. iPhone users, that's iOS 8 at the time of recording. And after you do that for your smartphone, you want to download the latest version of the GoPro app. After the app is finished downloading, you want to have your GoPro camera on and ready, and then you want to open up the GoPro app. It's going to give you some directions on how to get to the wireless area on your GoPro camera, and that's going to display a pairing key. Now it's going to use Bluetooth to begin the pairing, and you're going to find a GoPro camera that's probably going to begin with GoPro and a set of numbers. And then you want to look at the password on your GoPro, enter it in your iPhone or your smartphone, and then select pair. I apologize for some of the temporary green blips, but I'd rather show you what's displaying on my iPhone rather than you not being able to. Okay, after this you got to enter in a 8-character password. And while I'm doing that, I just want to stress that if you're having problems with this, it's okay. I struggled with this quite a bit because I didn't upgrade my iOS to the latest version, and because of that I couldn't download the latest version of the GoPro app, and I just had a lot of hiccups. So Let's get back to the pairing. Okay, after you set your password, we're gonna back out of the GoPro app. And now what we want to do is to connect to the Wi-Fi network that your GoPro camera is broadcasting. So once we've connected to the GoPro Wi-Fi, we actually don't have internet connectivity. Okay, there's the Wi-Fi network, Greg Hero 4, and then I'm going to enter in that 8-character password that I just set. Okay, your smartphone may think a little bit about whether it's going to accept the password. I wish you good luck. Once you get the tick box or the check mark, that's a good sign. And after that, you can then back out and go find your GoPro app. If you see Connect to Control lit up, that's a good sign. That means you can click it and open up the app. That's going to allow you to see the preview of what the GoPro is looking at. So I'm just going to test out a sample recording by pressing the red button and do a highlight tag. Excellent. Okay, congratulations on pairing your GoPro app to the camera. Life is only going to get easier from here. We're going to do things in the next lesson like learn how to download images from your GoPro, how to take photos and do video recordings. So a deeper dive into the next lesson, so stay tuned. Before you begin, make sure that your iPhone or the smartphone that you're using has the most current version of the operating system. This actually does make a difference because when I tried to update my GoPro app on my iPhone, I actually got the older version and had trouble pairing the GoPro camera with the app. The latest version at the time this lesson was made was iOS 8.2. After you've updated your operating system, then you can go to your smartphone's app store. On an iPhone, it's just called the App Store, and search for GoPro and then download the app. After you download the GoPro app, you'll need to go through the pairing process. If you haven't already, please watch the previous lesson on pairing your GoPro camera to the app. After you've successfully paired your GoPro camera to the app, then you're going to see a Connect and Control button that you can click on the GoPro app, and that'll take you to the main display. Now on the main display, you're going to see some useful information from the video settings to the settings button, the modes button, the record shutter button, the media display area, and as well as some useful stats. Probably the most useful function of the main display is you're going to use it to help you frame your shot, to see what your GoPro camera lens is seeing. Now, even if you don't have access to this display, the GoPro camera lens is so wide that usually you can be confident that you're getting most of what the lens is pointing at in the picture if you have it pointing at a 90-degree angle. Now, on the top left-hand display, we also got useful information such as the camera name, your video resolution, the frame rate, and the field of view. When in photo mode, this top left display is going to change to give you the megapixel count and whether you're on auto or manual mode. The logo on the bottom left of the main display with the squared tiles is the media display area. So this is pretty cool. You don't have to wait until you take your memory card out of your GoPro to check out some of your footage. You can preview photos, multi-shots, time lapses, and even videos. This is pretty cool because you can get that instant feedback to see if you need to retake the shot. Keep in mind that you have to keep your smartphone close to the camera so that the Wi-Fi signal is strong. And from the smartphone, you can save the video clip or the photo and share it out to your friends. The settings area of the GoPro app has a lot of choices for you to make, and you can spend a lot of time here if you want to. All three modes have all the settings that can be adjusted on just one screen, so it tends to be very long. I recommend doing this from the app rather from the actual camera. Keep in mind when you make adjustments to the settings, these are automatically pushed to the GoPro camera. Some of my favorite things to do from the settings area are to delete one file or delete all the files from the card. I can do it manually, but I just feel a little bit more comfortable doing it from the app. If you want to check how much memory card capacity is, how many photos you can still take without filling up the card, or how many minutes you can still record on video, there is a useful memory card capacity area in the settings area that you can check out. It seems that there are a lot more choices you have to make in the GoPro 4 settings area than in the Hero 3. But for video, let's keep it simple and keep these pointers in mind. At certain resolutions and frame rates, pay attention to a low light mode which may be available or not. If you're gonna select Pro Tune, that's gonna allow you to select more options, and one of the most important options in this area is called the ISO. The higher the ISO value, the better the camera is going to be able to film in darker or low light areas, but you will get more grain or noise. That big red circular button on the bottom center of your main display is your shutter button. You use it to record video or take photos. Keep in mind when you press it, it's going to start flashing red if you're actually taking video, and the counter is going to display how many seconds you've been recording for. Once you're recording, you're going to notice a new feature, a yellow button is going to appear, and this is the new highlight tagging feature, which will allow you to figure out which spots in the video or which moments were some of your best, so you can pick them out easily when you're editing. You can also adjust specific values in the photo settings mode. Check out some of the lessons later on light painting and time-lapse for some tips on specific values you can set. So that wraps up our coverage on using the GoPro app. I hope you found that useful. There's a lot of things that you can do in the app, particularly in the settings area. I recommend that you check out some previous lessons on video setup comparisons where I showed you different frame rates, resolutions, and fields of view. Also look out for other lessons on field tests where we're going to do things like time-lapse videos. We're going to do some light painting and night-lapse photos for some other ideas on how you can use the GoPro app. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about the GoPro remote. So it's this guy here. In my GoPro 3, I actually didn't use the remote with the GoPro because I would use the app most of the time. And I still think the app is more versatile because on the remote, they're limited in what you can do. In any case, I can see how it would be useful if you're doing things like snowboarding or you're scuba diving and you can't use your phone in those conditions. So what you can do is you can sync up your remote with the GoPro so that if you need to turn it on and the camera's not anywhere close to you, or let's just say if someone else was wearing the GoPro and you're scuba diving and you wanted to control when it records and when it doesn't. So things like that. With the GoPro 4, you can also tag your videos so that when you're reviewing your videos on your computer, when you're editing, you can use the tags to the side. These are the videos that I think were the best. And so you can tag them using the mode button, which is the button at the bottom, while it's recording. Okay, but let's get to basics. Let's sync this up. So the first thing you would do is sync up your GoPro with the remote. And to do that on your GoPro, you would turn on the wireless and you would go to the option to add RC. That would put it in the pairing mode, and then what you need to do is to turn on the remote using the red circle button, and you would hold that down. While holding it down, you would press the mode button, just tapping on it quickly once, and that would put the remote in pairing mode. And after that, it would sync up and you would say something like one cam ready. So that's what it's saying right now. So with my GoPro on and the remote over here, if I simply press this button here, You can see it's starting to record and the red light's on. The good thing about this remote is it's good up to 180 meters or 600 feet, depending on the conditions. So I actually haven't tested it out that far, but let me go do that now. Our basic GoPro remote test worked out just fine. In my situation, I don't think I would use the GoPro remote a whole lot. Instead, I would use the GoPro app. I can always just press record on the camera if I need to and just leave it recording, or I'll use the GoPro app. But the benefit is that this remote is waterproof and you can pair up to 50 devices. It would be useful if you're scuba diving and you had the camera with the Dive Master and you wanted to be able to remotely activate it, or if you mounted the cameras in several places and you wanted to activate it and you couldn't do it for all 50 cameras or multiple cameras. So those are some situations I can think of. So that's a GoPro remote, and I hope you enjoyed that lesson. I'm going to test out the GoPro using different resolutions and frame rates so you can compare what the difference is. This was shot indoors in the evening, and I applied the Pro Tune color preset from GoPro Studio. You can look at the bottom left for the exact setting in the GoPro app. We're going to play that back one more time, but this time part of the screen is going to have no Pro Tune color preset for you to do a comparison with the original. Notice that the ultra wide field of view gets a lot more in the picture than just the regular wide field of view. I hope you found this lesson useful. I was surprised to see a little bit of noise at this resolution. In the next lesson, we're going to do a similar comparison in 2.7K, 720, and 1080, but because we get higher frame rates, we can test out some slow motion. Now we continue the comparison, but in 2.7K, due to the higher frame rates that we get at this resolution, we can add in some slow motion tests. We're going to compare 1080p and 720p. Something to look for in the 1080p comparison is that as we move up to 120 frames per second, we get an option for low light. Also look out for how the different fields of view give a different feel on the picture, as opposed to what GoPro is typically known for, which is that really wide fish lens look. Okay, we're going to move up to 240 frames per second. Now, note how much the noise increases and the dark tint, which I really didn't expect. So I hope this lesson gave you some ideas of some different camera setups that you can use using different resolutions, frame rates, and fields of view to achieve different looks. So once you have your camera set up and you've got your settings, it's as simple as pressing the button on the top to begin recording. The red light will start flashing so you know that the GoPro is taking footage. Okay, once you're done, you just press the button at the top again to stop it, and there you go. Some tips to get good footage for the GoPro is to keep the lens of the camera clean. Make sure there's no dust, no smudges. Make sure that you keep the camera very stable, so the mounts help out with that. If you're going to use just a hand shot, you're going to use your hand to film, try to keep it very still, or you can just sit the camera on something that is where you are, like even a table or a can. That makes a huge difference. Third thing is to have good available lights. The best light is natural daylight, and you want to film your footage in the same direction that the sun is facing for best results.
No.